I have a mug of which I am fond. On the one side is a portrait of the great 17th century theologian John Owen, looking rather suspicious. On the other side is one of his quotes. It reads, "Be killing sin, or it will kill you." Now, Owen is speaking from a different century, but he might as well be calling from another world. The fear of sin has passed from our society. Rather than something which kills, it's seen as just a pleasure, something to be marketed. To take sin seriously is to be labelled, like Owen, a Puritan or a killjoy. Live a little, they say, lighten up, as long as you're not hurting anyone, what's the harm? We're free from all that prudishness. Jesus takes a different view. In fact, he goes as far as to say that everyone who practices sin is a slave to sin. A slave. There's not much freedom there, not much enjoyment. This is sobering. But if we think through our own experience, well, we can bear witness to the truth of what Jesus says. How often have you found yourself doing something you know to be wrong, but you just cannot help yourself? How often have you clicked that link, or eaten that food, or shared that morsel of gossip? A slave to sin indeed, a slave to something which sucks the joy out of life and deadens your experience of the presence of God. There is more to this. Paul reminds the church in Ephesus that, quotes, "You were dead in the trespasses and sins in which you once walked, following the course of this world." Sin brings with it, you see, a spiritual death. You no longer follow the paths of God, but you follow the course of this world. And I'm afraid there is worse news too. The Ephesians were, quotes, "by nature children of wrath, like the rest of mankind." This sin deadness, you see, is hereditary. It is natural to human nature. It is the tendency that we have to, quotes, "live in the passions of the flesh." So it is that you are caught up with the cravings of the world, the flesh, and the devil. So why do I have a mug with a quote of sin? Surely this is just depressing. Not so. The Christian understanding of sin is in fact a great liberation. It is the most marvellously honest understanding of human nature. Of course, if the story finished with a stern figure telling you that you are simply sinful and a child of wrath, well, then you'd have every right to feel downcast. The truth is, though, the story ends with a Saviour who came to deal with your sin, to purchase your freedom from that grim slavery. We might not be able to live the perfect life, but Jesus can. We might not be able to bear the consequences of our sin, but Jesus can. We might be children of wrath, but Jesus bore that wrath upon the cross. You are not your own, but you can be Christ's. It is as you acknowledge your sinfulness, a sin which affects how you behave and how you think, that you are in a position to embrace the great liberation Christ offers. God's mercy is all the sweeter when you know it is undeserved. Grace is all the more amazing when you know you are a wretch. Freedom is all the more sweet when you realize you are enslaved. I have another mug with another quote, this time from Jonathan Edwards. It reads, "You contribute nothing to your salvation except the sin which made it necessary." Wider society might reject the notion of sin, but we know it is what brought the Son of God to earth. And as Jesus said, if the Son sets you free, you will be free indeed.